The root of illness. Understanding cancer and healing through humility. Question. When my husband was first diagnosed with his illness, I thought, how could such a kind-hearted person get this disease? Ever since elementary school, he had sacrificed so much, turning his back on his own parents to take care of his 4 younger brothers and 1 sister. He raised them, supported their education, took care of his parents, and even helped his siblings get married. He never once used his time for himself. Everything he did was for his family and siblings. But then, just when he retired and was about to take some time for himself and contribute to society, he even earned a social worker certificate, this illness struck. At that moment, it felt like the sky was falling. Answer. Why does cancer develop? Cancer is the result of stubbornness. The more stubborn we are, the more our cells become rigid. As they harden, they become diseased. This is how cancer forms. So, how do we heal from it? The first step is to completely let go of our stubbornness, because that is the key to softening hardened cells. For example, let's say you've eaten too much and feel discomfort. Some people say they feel blocked inside. But if you go to a modern hospital and take an X-ray, what do you see? There's nothing physically blocking anything. We often think we are blocked because we are tense, and this tension causes a tightening in the body. If that tightness is not released, it can even make it hard to breathe. When cells become rigid, they need to be relaxed. There are various ways to do this: applying pressure to certain hand acupressure points, acupuncture, and other relaxation techniques. Even medication functions as a relaxant rather than directly digesting food. Its ingredients help our cells relax. Similarly, cancer must also be treated by making the body feel comfortable. The rigidity caused by stubbornness must be released through the opposite approach, by letting go of that stubbornness. No one who dies from cancer was diagnosed just a few days before their passing. Most people are given months, typically around 4 months, sometimes 6, before they reach their final stage. The question then becomes, how do we navigate this time? Hospitals use various treatments, including heat therapy, because cancer cells are vulnerable to heat. But why is heat necessary? Because heat helps relax the cells. The fastest way to release tension is to understand ourselves. If we recognize our own mistakes, we stop being stubborn, and our cancer also starts to dissolve. The hardened tumor softens, and our cells recover. To give a clearer example, some cancer patients stay in the city, take medications, and try every treatment possible but still don't survive. Meanwhile, others refuse treatment altogether, choosing instead to withdraw from society, avoiding the pain and suffering of chemotherapy. Some go to the countryside, where they meet local herbalists or knowledgeable elders. By living in a rural environment, their perspective shifts completely. In the city, they were once powerful, successful individuals. But now, as a sick person in an unfamiliar environment, they must listen to others. When the local people say, "You should do this," they respond with, "Yes, okay." They follow the advice given to them without question. If someone says, "Let's go pick herbs in the morning," they go along without resistance. They eat whatever is offered to them, without overanalyzing it. Over time, they naturally heal, without even realizing what exactly cured them. The key takeaway here is, be humble. This illness and hardship arose because of a lack of humility. When a person is humble, they become soft. When they are stubborn and insistent on their ways, they become rigid. Healing can be incredibly simple if we understand this principle. Many people have recovered after encountering teachings like this because they finally understand and can't help but follow the wisdom. As a result, they become humble in front of the truth, shed tears of realization, and release their burdens. That's how tumors disappear. Medication alone accounts for only 30% of the healing process. The remaining 70% comes from within. Medicine helps with immediate symptoms, but it doesn't cure the root cause. True healing happens when we recognize our mistakes and change. If we were unaware before, we can learn now. When we realize our past errors, all we need to do is say, "God, I didn't know, please forgive me." That is a genuine prayer. There's no need to beg for forgiveness. Just draw closer to God with sincerity. From now on, if you and your spouse can study together, and ideally if your whole family joins, that would be even better. When a child deeply loves their parents, they often end up suffering if their parents are struggling. Sometimes, when parents need to wake up to something, their most cherished child becomes ill. But when a family learns and grows together, they can heal together. Families who listen to these lessons together start having real conversations. They discuss topics together, engage in meaningful discussions, and become much closer as a result. That's why those who study and communicate as a family recover 100% of the time. The lack of discussion culture has made our society more individualistic, creating unnecessary conflicts. Education should have emphasized dialogue and debate, but instead, we were trained only to memorize facts. Memorization alone leads to misunderstandings and conflicts. People become rigid in their thinking and insist on their own opinions. Reviving a culture of discussion and communication is a meaningful goal for society. Summary: understanding cancer and the path to healing. Why does cancer develop? Cancer is linked to stubbornness and rigidity in both the mind and body. When we hold on to rigid beliefs, our cells also become rigid, leading to illness. To heal, we must learn to relax and let go of stubbornness. How can we heal? 1. Releasing tension. Just like tension in the stomach can make us feel blocked, our entire body can suffer from rigidity. Methods like acupressure, acupuncture, heat therapy, and relaxation techniques can help release this tension. Medicine mainly works by helping the body relax, rather than directly treating the disease. 2. Changing our mindset. Recognizing our own mistakes and letting go of rigid thoughts can help the body heal naturally. Humility softens both the mind and body, helping to break down tumors. Examples of healing through a new environment. 1. Some cancer patients stay in cities, relying on medicine but don't improve. 2. Others move to rural areas, away from stress, and adopt a simple, obedient attitude. 3. By following natural healing practices and listening to others with humility, they recover without even realizing what exactly healed them. Key takeaway: humility is the key to healing. 1. Illness often comes from a lack of humility and emotional rigidity. 2. When we become humble, acknowledge our mistakes, and release emotional burdens, our bodies naturally heal. 3. Healing is 30% medical treatment and 70% self-awareness and mindset change. The role of family and communication. 1. Healing is most effective when families learn and grow together. 2. Having open discussions and communicating regularly can create emotional balance and support healing. 3. Families that engage in learning and discussions experience stronger connections and higher recovery rates. The importance of discussion culture. 1. Modern society lacks a culture of open discussion, leading to misunderstanding and rigidity. 2. Instead of memorizing facts, we should engage in dialogue and share wisdom to grow together. Final message. 1. Healing comes from within. 2. Recognize mistakes, be humble, let go of stubbornness, and engage in open discussions. 3. By doing so, not only can we heal from illness, but we can also live a more fulfilling life. Healing cancer story. The silent garden, the hospital room smelled of antiseptic and quiet resignation. Min Jae lay on the stark white bed, the soft hum of the machines surrounding him, an ever-present reminder of his condition. He had always been a man of duty, sacrificing his childhood, his dreams, and even his health for the well-being of his family. He had been their pillar, their silent guardian. And now, as the cancer gnawed at his body, he wondered if all that sacrifice had been worth it. His wife, Soo Jin, sat beside him, her fingers wrapped around his hand like a lifeline. Min Jae, the doctor said the treatments aren't working as we hoped, she murmured, trying to keep the tremor from her voice. Maybe we should try something else. Min Jae managed a weak smile. Something else? Like what? A miracle? She shook her head. A different way of healing. There's a place, a quiet village in the mountains. They say people go there and come back healed, he sighed. You know I don't believe in that kind of thing. Believe in what? Rest? Peace? Maybe it's not about belief but about giving yourself permission to live differently. A journey to healing. Reluctantly, Min Jae agreed. The journey to the remote village was long and arduous. Nestled between rolling green hills and misty forests, the place felt untouched by time. The villagers welcomed them with warm smiles, not as patients but as people. There were no hospitals, no medications, only nature, simplicity, and an understanding that healing was more than just physical. An elderly man named Grandfather Wan took Min Jae under his wing. "Your body is like a garden," he said one evening as they sat beneath a canopy of stars. "You have spent your life pruning everyone else's flowers, but you have never tended to your own. Your soil is dry, your roots are weak. Your cancer is not a punishment, it is a signal." Min Jae frowned. "A signal of what?" "That you must soften. That you must let go." Wan led him through days of silent walks, herbal teas, acupuncture, and meditation. At first, Min Jae resisted. He had always been a man of science, a man who believed in facts and logic. But something about the village, about the way the people lived in harmony, began to shift something inside him. One afternoon, he found himself sitting by a quiet stream, watching the water flow effortlessly over the rocks. It did not fight, did not resist, it simply moved, carving its way through obstacles over time. He closed his eyes and breathed deeply, for the first time in years allowing himself to let go. The science of letting go. Meanwhile, back in Seoul, Dr. Choi, Min Jae's oncologist, was perplexed. The latest scans showed something unusual. His tumors were shrinking, despite the lack of conventional treatment. It was a phenomenon he had seen only rarely, cases where a change in environment and mindset seemed to have an undeniable impact on the body. The stress hormone, cortisol, has a profound effect on cell function, he explained to his colleagues. When a person is constantly under stress, their body remains in a state of fight or flight. The immune system weakens and cancer cells thrive. But when stress is reduced, when the body is allowed to relax and repair, the immune system begins to fight back. Min Jae's healing was not just a miracle, it was biology. The simple village life, the fresh air, the emotional release, all of it contributed to his recovery in a way no drug could replicate. A new beginning. Months passed, and when Min Jae finally returned home, he was a different man. His hands, once stiff from years of labor, moved with newfound ease. His mind, once filled with burdens, was lighter. He no longer saw his illness as a battle to be fought but as a teacher that had shown him the importance of balance, of humility, of letting go. Soo Jin met him at the station, tears shining in her eyes. "You're home." "Yes," he said, smiling. "For the first time in my life, I really am." As they walked together, hand in hand, he knew that healing wasn't just about curing disease, it was about learning to live again. Final thoughts. Min Jae's story is a blend of science and spirituality, showing that healing is not just about medicine but about how we live, think, and feel. By softening our minds, by letting go of past burdens, and by embracing humility, we give our bodies the best chance to heal. His journey reminds us that sometimes, the path to recovery is not in a hospital but in the way we choose to live our lives.